Welcome to Meet the Candidates 2024, a voter education program brought to you by the Shakopee Chamber of Commerce. My name is Tim Zunker, and I'm the president with the Shakopee Chamber and Visitors Bureau. Our hope is that these candidate interviews and profiles will help you, the voter, understand your choices when it comes to the 2024 election. We ask voters to arm themselves with the information necessary to make educated choices and to make casting your vote a priority. Please visit the Shakopee Chamber website at shakopee.org to find out more information about the upcoming election for Minnesota House of Representatives, District 54A. And at this time, I'd like to introduce Representative Brad Tabke. Thank you for joining me today, Brad. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and all that good stuff.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tim, for having me and for doing this. This is a huge public service, especially without a newspaper in town anymore. This is one of the only ways that people will be able to find out how folks actually feel in positions on things. So huge thank you for doing this in the upcoming debate as well. So my name Brad Tabke. I used to be the mayor of Shakopee, used to be the president of the chamber here in Shakopee as well. Board chair, not president. We changed the name on that. So, but used to be, not used to be, I'm very involved in Shakopee groups and organizations and really proud of the work that we've been doing. So after I was mayor, got elected as state representative in 2018. And as mayor, we worked a ton on economic development and moving a lot of thousands of jobs to Shakopee and creating lots of opportunity for Shakopee residents to live, work, and play here in town and developing our downtown Shakopee and that work. And so proud to be our state representative now here in 54A and look forward to hopefully, with everyone's vote, continuing that work for our community.
Great. Thank you, Brad. Get into the questions. What specific initiatives do you plan to champion at the legislature if elected, and how do they align with the needs and priorities of our district?
Yeah, so everything that I do as state representative is completely and totally based in what we hear from people on the doors here in Shakopee. So we do a lot of door knocking. We talk to folks. So our team has knocked, this is the end of August, and so we're over 30,000 doors that we've knocked in our community. I personally have knocked 3,000 doors, just under 3,000 doors as of today. And really proud of making sure that we talk to folks and meet them where they are. And we talk to Democrats, we talk to Republicans, and a couple different things that people want, from what I hear, is they want politics to simmer down a little bit, and they want politics, people just to work together and get things done. So I'm really proud of my history on that. I'm one of the top 5 most bipartisan legislators in the entire legislature. So I'm really proud of working, Representative Bakeberg, work with him a lot, Senator Pratt, work with him a lot for Shakopee specific things, and then work with folks all across the state on making sure that we get work done for Shakopee. And so we have brought money to Shakopee for $11 million for stabilizing the riverbank in downtown Shakopee so that we're able to have that not impeding on our infrastructure. We got money for Merriam Junction Trail, which is going to be built very quickly, connecting Louisville Swamp into downtown Carver. Also working, we got $2 million for Shakopee Public Safety that has gone to purchase, hire new cops here in Shakopee, purchase trucks, work in the fire department, purchase cars and the vehicles for the police department, and a lot of stuff that way. So moving forward, there's a lot of work we have to do, continuing with getting funding for the hub here in Shakopee to have higher education here in Shakopee that'll help entrepreneurs and get more work done. That way, we have a 22-mile loop with Scott County that we're working on for getting funding for that. And another big thing that people talk about is education and making sure that we have funding for education. So we'll need to continue increasing that funding. We got a lot done in this past biennium. I'm super proud of that, but we're not done with that work yet. So education is also a huge piece of what people want. And then on the personal side, I work a ton on transportation. And so hope to continue working on transportation, getting transit routes completely built out between Shakopee and Minneapolis and connecting suburbs and doing a better job of that, as well as I hear from folks a lot of times on the doors about the safety of local roads. And so as one thing I want to work on these next 2 years, if I'm lucky enough to get reelected, is to work on local roads and safety of those roads and making sure that we are mitigating issues and making sure that pedestrians and bikers are safe on our local roads and making sure that happens. So that, in with a lot of other things around public safety, and can't really name them all right now, but there's a lot of work yet to be done, and I'm looking forward to do that and protecting what we've completed already around protecting reproductive rights, making sure we're investing in public safety, making sure that we're investing in education, and moving all those things forward.
Great. Thank you, Brad. With the February budget forecast showing a surplus of $3.715 billion in the 2024-2025 biennium, but spending still projected to exceed revenue through fiscal year 2027, how do you plan to manage the state's finances effectively? And what priorities would you focus on to ensure a balanced budget or surplus?
Yeah, we have a lot of work to do there in this next budget cycle for sure. And so one thing that is not talked about a lot is the fact that we did leave a significant amount of money from the surplus. So that $3 billion is left on the bottom line. So that we're able to use that and make sure that we're protecting the state of Minnesota. We have an extremely healthy rainy day fund. So if things were to happen to go south, which all indications are that that's not happening right now, but as we move forward, if our economy were to sour, we have that rainy day fund that we'll be able to use to make sure to keep services where they are in Minnesota right now. And so making sure to do that and moving those things forward. So it's really important to learn to recognize those couple things as we have a significant amount of money there. The other pieces are that our economy in Minnesota is doing really, really well on the whole. And on grand, there are a lot of things that we need to do to make families' budgets work better with childcare and with making sure that we're able to afford groceries by breaking up monopolies and different pieces like that. But on the whole, our economy is doing well, and we're forecast ahead of budget every month on where we expect it to be. And so we really need to let it play out and see where all of that is going for the future and have the next, the November and the February forecasts that come for the economics to really start to make decisions on that. But everything is showing right now that we're on a good trend, and we will continue to do that and make sure that we are investing in Minnesotans and making sure we're investing in education and making sure that those things that make us unique in the upper Midwest are continuing.
Great. Thank you, Brad. What measures do you propose to address the cost of living in Minnesota, particularly in terms of housing affordability and accessibility?
Yeah, so I kind of touched on a couple of those right there. One of the big things that here in Shakopee is affecting our housing affordability is property taxes. So our city property taxes are some of the lowest in our comparable areas, but we are having school referendums and things that are hitting people more than they are in other areas. And so we need to make sure that those property taxes are funded. The way our education system is funded in Minnesota is that should come from the state. Is it a progressive tax system so that the folks who are benefiting the most from our wonderful ecosystem we have in Minnesota are paying the most into that system, and it doesn't hit low income and middle class folks nearly as much as folks who are really benefiting from the system. And so we need to make sure that we are funding education adequately from a state level so that we don't have to have additional property tax levies for school district in Shakopee. And so some of them are necessary, like there's a really important safety and tech levy that's coming up this fall that's really important that we continue. But we've had underfunding in education for the last 2 decades from the state, and we need to make sure that we are fixing those. So that's a huge piece that affects affordability of housing. I want to continue. There's a bill that we passed that was my bill, started in 2019. It's a housing tax credit, and that bill is a very well bipartisan bill where we've got a lot of Republicans, a lot of Democrats on it, and it is a tax credit that for businesses to invest in housing. And so they get money and they get tax credits for investing in housing and making sure that we're building more housing all throughout the state of Minnesota. So if someone here in Shakopee needs more housing near their business, they can invest in those housing units to make sure that they are affordable for the workers that they need and making sure that we go that way with things. And then affordability is not just housing. It's making sure that we can afford childcare, making sure that we can afford groceries, like I said. And those big things are pieces that we will continue to work on. And a lot of the work that we've done these past 2 years is yet to really hit its stride and really help folks. And so we're working on making sure that that gets implemented well and doesn't get pulled back.
Great. Thank you. What strategies do you support for workforce development to ensure Minnesota's economy remains competitive? And how do you plan to address workforce shortages in critical sectors like healthcare, manufacturing, and technology?
Yeah, this is a really important one, especially for Shakopee, where we have such a critical job center for our area in the Southwest Metro here, and we draw workers from all over the Metro to Shakopee, and so it's really important that we continue to work on this. We have been predicting for the last 10 years that there was going to be a drop-off in workforce availability from people retiring and from that baby boomers retiring and Gen X starting to retire and all of that has been expected to happen for a long time. We were talking about that while I was mayor and making sure that we had affordable housing that was here for folks. We've got places for healthcare workers, police officers, teachers to live here in Shakopee. And so we've been working on that for a while. From a state level of things, we have increased the rate of pay because folks who are in nursing, who are in home health care, who are taking care of folks who have disabilities, they just don't get paid enough to make that a livable wage. Same thing with, I have a bill where we're working on minimum wages for paras in schools and making sure that folks who are helping kids who have special needs in schools be paid adequately so it's a livable wage job. And so we need to continue working on those to increase those state wages for folks. We made huge strides here this last 2 years, but there's a lot more that needs to be done that way. And then the other pieces are education, making sure for manufacturing, we passed a bill with Senator Pratt in combination with Shakopee Chamber and Hospitality Minnesota and other folks for making sure that we are having educational opportunities here in Shakopee for people to learn manufacturing jobs, people to get training and partnering with those businesses to get it done. And so these really awesome, and thank you for all that work you guys did, these really awesome community-based initiatives that know exactly what we need here in Shakopee, know exactly what we need to get it done here in Shakopee, from constant discussions with business owners and corporations, and making sure that we're able to succeed and fill those jobs are really important. So that's continuing that work is what we need to get done so that the workforce is available for the future and we're able to invest.
Great. Thank you. What is your approach to improving healthcare access and affordability in Minnesota? Are there any specific policies or reforms you believe would make a significant impact?
Yeah, there are a lot of really important, significant pieces that need to get done. The healthcare world is not something I work in specifically, but we just have to do so much better when it comes to healthcare. Prescription drugs are way too high. We passed a lot of legislation this past 2 years around making sure that price gouging doesn't happen in pharmaceuticals, making sure that big pharma is held accountable for when they just really are detrimental to people getting healthy and doing that work. And so I got recently last fall diagnosed with diabetes, and it has been just a huge learning curve for me personally, understanding how the system works, because I've always been super healthy and haven't ever had any issues. And so being diabetic now, it is like the fact that we have insulin that's affordable for everybody to use is just critical on keeping me alive and extending my life and making sure that we're in a good place that way. And so making sure that we have affordable healthcare for everybody, making sure that pharmaceuticals and big pharma are paying their way. We have done a lot around all the middlemen that exist in the health insurance world, and will continue to do that work. And so making sure that healthcare options are available to everybody, whether that's Medicare for all, whether that's public option, whatever that may be, we need to make sure that everyone has access to healthcare and find a good, smart way to do that. Minnesota has a huge opportunity to lead on healthcare, and I hope we will continue to do that, and I'll push that.
Great. Thank you, Brad. And what is your position on the legalization of sports betting in Minnesota? And if you support, how would you ensure the revenue generated is used effectively for the benefit of the state?
This question still stings, Tim.
It's been multi-year we've had this question.
I know. We absolutely should have had sports betting taken care of. I am, personally, not someone who partakes in sports betting. It's not my thing, but it is critical to our community. It's one of those things that I put my personal beliefs well below what we should do for our community. And so it's a critical thing that we get done for Canterbury Park, which is a huge, wonderful contributor in our community. And it's a really huge asset. And so I have the very distinct opportunity to represent both the Shakopee, Mdewakanton, Sioux community and tribal nations, and Canterbury Park, who at times can have very opposing views to how sports betting could go. But my job this past session was working to help find deals and make sure that we are able to get that done. And we absolutely found a deal that everyone agreed on, and we had a bill that was written that would have brought millions of dollars to Canterbury Park, would have benefited the tribes very much, agreed with it. It would have benefited the smallest tribes in Minnesota who won't benefit as much from sports betting. And so making sure that we're taking care of people, whether that's from workers on the backstretch who would have significantly higher funding for access to healthcare, access to education, and other pieces that we need to make sure everybody's living full, healthy lives. And the deal was completely done, and we just needed one Republican to vote for it in the House, and they all pulled their votes because they didn't want to give us a win, and we tried really, really, really hard. And so this is the most partisan of anything I've ever worked with, and it's a bipartisan issue where we've had huge support from both Democrats and Republicans, huge opposition from both Democrats and Republicans, and this is one of them where they didn't want to give a couple of vulnerable Democratic members, and this is the ugliest piece because we could absolutely have gotten it done and benefited our community, and we just needed one single solitary vote from the GOP to get it moving, and they refused to do it. And so that's a long-winded answer for we absolutely have to continue working on sports betting. It's critical for our community. It's critical for Indian gaming in Minnesota, and so we have to balance all of those efforts together and make sure we're finding good solutions that everybody can agree on, which we got there, just couldn't get one single vote from Republicans, and want to keep working on that. And we'll find ways, I hope, to get it done in the next 2 years. I'm not super positive that we'll be able to do that because it's going to be an uphill battle, but I thought the same thing last year and we got very, very close. So we'll see. That's going to be one of the big things that we work on.
Great. Thank you, Brad. That's all the questions. So I'll give you opportunity to give a closing statement and message to the voters.
Yeah. Thanks again, Tim, and to Shakopee Chamber for doing this. I just, hopefully it comes through passion for Shakopee and passion for taking care of people here in our community and making sure that we are doing the right things at the state legislature. Like I said, I'm one of the top 5 most bipartisan legislators in the state of Minnesota at the state level. And with that, we've developed a significant amount of relationships and working together with people to get things done, no matter party, no matter where people are at, to help with education, to making sure we're doing that. Plus, doing the work of protecting reproductive rights, doing the work of making sure that we're funding public safety and making sure that we're getting the resources that we need to a local level. And my experience as mayor, my experience so far as state legislator, want to continue that work and keep doing that for Shakopee and for all the folks here in Shakopee. And I just remembered one other thing that I forgot to talk about that a lot of people don't know or understand on the people being able to afford their lives and having affordable housing is paid family medical leave and earned sick and safe time. So we passed 2 laws this past year. Paid family medical leave gives people the opportunity starting in a year for taking long-term leave with wage replacement. So it's a program like unemployment, but it makes sure that if you have to take care of, if you have a baby, if you have a sick parent, if you have something like that, that you're able to take time off that you need with your loved ones in order to make sure that and still be able to pay your bills and still be able to pay your mortgage. And that will help get workers back in the workforce and make, especially women who take a lot of time off, and they still need to pay the bills. And so those are big ways where we're helping everyday Minnesotans afford their lives. And so paid family medical leave and earned sick and safe time. I hope people look into those and let us know if you have any questions, and would love to help people out.
Great. Thanks again, Brad. The views expressed in these interviews are those of the candidates, not those of the Chamber and Visitors Bureau. The Chamber is sponsoring these interviews as a service to the community and has gone to great lengths to ensure the objectivity. The Chamber does not endorse any candidate, but seeks to provide you, the citizens and voters of Shakopee, the information you need to make an informed choice. The Shakopee Chamber and Visitors Bureau extends a sincere thank you to the candidates. Get that out. Thank you again, Brad. We appreciate your time and your service to our community by running for office. You are performing an important service to us all. Again, thank you for joining us for this edition of Meet the Candidates 2024. Thank you, Brad.
Thanks, Tim.